Good morning, and thank you all for joining us for the Pre-State Allocation Board meeting. As a reminder, today's board meeting is at the State Capitol, room 437, and it will begin at 4 o'clock today. This slide depicts what funds that we do have left available at this time. In totality, we have $352.3 million. We did have some fund release activity from December to the end of February, and that represented about $146.9 million being dispersed to school districts. With that, I'd like to turn it over to Joel Ryan, who will discuss some of the highlights of today's board meeting. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Joel Ryan, Operations Manager and Program Services. There isn't a whole lot to update you on, but there is one item that I'd like to highlight for you today. That's the High Performance Incentive Grants for Facility Hardship Projects. The School Facility Program provides high performance incentive grants to fund the cost of design and materials that promote high performance schools. To date, the board has apportioned or granted unfunded approvals to 237 projects that included high-performance grants. These grants are currently provided to new construction, modernization, career tech, overcrowding relief, and charter school projects. However, high-performance grants are not currently available to all facility hardship projects. So the OPSC is seeking board direction on whether to provide these grants for facility hardship projects. As a reminder, facility hardship projects provide for the repair, reconstruction, or replacement of school facilities when those facilities have been lost or destroyed, or if there is a health and safety threat to students and staff related to existing facilities. The facility hardship program also includes seismic mitigation projects. Facility hardship projects break down into 3 groups. The first group is when a school district replaces an entire school. The second group is when they just replace some of the facilities at the school site. And the third group is when the site is being rehabilitated or repaired, but not replaced. Current regulations allow for the high performance incentive grant for the first group, which is when a school district replaces an entire school. However, when the regulations specify the supplemental grants for the second and third group, those regulations do not specify the high performance incentive grant. Therefore, staff is recommending that the board provide both the high performance percentage increase and the high performance base incentive grant to all facility hardship projects. So today the board will determine whether it wishes to make these changes to the school facility program regulations. Are there any questions? Nope. The next presenter will be the California Department of Education. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Kathleen Smothers, and I'm the manager of the Facilities Policy Unit at CDE. And today I'm pleased to introduce the newest member of our team, Leslie Taylor. Leslie joined our division as a field representative this past November. Now, actually, Leslie began working at the division 10 years ago as a student assistant, and then she spent the last 8 years working for the School Site Solutions as a project assistant, and then as a project manager. There she prepared school site and plan approval documentation, and she coordinated the submittal and approval with state regulatory agencies. Leslie has lots of experience collaborating with the district representatives to identify the potential new school sites and analyzing the constraints. She acted as the lead consultant for CEQA compliance on more than 40 school projects and was responsible for all analysis and content. She completed her master's in public administration in 2007. Leslie will split her work with both Fred and I throughout the day. In my unit, she will be working on research projects and assisting with the Green Ribbon Schools Award Program. And then she will also be working in Fred's unit as a team representative, field representative, involved with site planning assignments. So this morning, Leslie will have her debut and provide you with the Green Ribbon Award update. Leslie.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you to Kathleen for the introduction. So I'm here to talk about Green Ribbon. This is year 2 of the U.S. Department of Education program. The Green Ribbon Award is part of a larger federal effort to increase energy independence. The U.S. Department of Education recognizes schools and school districts that have gone green in ways that result in improved student engagement, higher academic achievement, and graduation rates, and workforce preparedness. The criteria for the Green Ribbon Award is based on achievement in 3 pillars. Pillar 1, reduced environmental impact and costs, includes energy audits, benchmarking, and demonstrated energy savings. Pillar 2, improved health and wellness, includes a lot of your M&O items, including integrated pest management and indoor air quality, in addition to fitness and nutrition programs for students and staff. Pillar 3, effective environmental and sustainability education, focuses on the integration of sustainability concepts throughout the school curriculum and culture, with a focus on STEM skills and content and civic engagement. Each nominating authority can submit 1 school district and 4 schools for consideration. This year in California, we did have a full slate of nominees reflecting the high quality of applications we received. Superintendent Torlakson announced our state's nominees last month. Hopefully you heard about that in the news. And they are the Oak Park Unified School District in Ventura County, Charles Evans Hughes Middle School in Long Beach Unified, Journey School, a Waldorf-style charter in Capistrano Unified, Redding School of the Arts in Gateway Unified, and Prospect Sierra School, a private school in El Cerrito. I want to share a few pictures that are highlighting the activities of our nominees this year. Oak Park Unified is located near Thousand Oaks and serves an ADA of about 4,200. The district has been recognized by California Breathing for achievements in respiratory health and with the President's Environmental Youth Award for a wonderful curriculum project Week of Whales. Cool roofs, hydration stations, school gardens, and a robust child nutrition program are features implemented district-wide. Hughes Middle School is located in the Bixby Knolls neighborhood of Long Beach and serves approximately 1,600 students, 54% of whom receive free and reduced price meals. Although the school was built in 1948, the district has invested in energy efficiency, and the school received a perfect Energy Star score of 100. More than 40 campus trees were planted in a re-landscaping project featuring plants designed to capture particulate matter in an effort to improve air quality. Journey School in Orange County serves approximately 300 K-8 students and received an Energy Star score of 98. The school maintains gardens, harvests rainwater, and composts on site. A highlight of the educational program is zero-emission field trips where students walk or bike to their destinations. Redding School of the Arts, this is a beautiful facility, serves more than 500 K-8 students and is the first school to be certified Lead for Schools 2009 Platinum. The facility features a building dashboard displaying real-time water and energy use, data that the teachers can integrate into the ED program. Other green features include an underground water storage tank that reroutes rainwater harvested from the roof structure to meet the school's irrigation needs campus-wide. And finally, Prospect Sierra School in El Cerrito, Contra Costa County, serves almost 500 K-8 students and is recognized by the National Association of Independent Schools as a model school of the future. Projects at the school converted asphalt to green space and added outdoor classrooms and gardens. The school harvests rainwater, and students participate in restoration projects at a nearby creek. Now that our nominations have been made, the next step is for USED to consider each nominee for the Green Ribbon Award, which will be announced on Earth Day. And last year's recipients from California, all of our nominees did receive the Green Ribbon Award, were Environmental Charter High School, Grandview Elementary School, Longfellow Elementary School, and the Athenian School. If you think your school or district deserves to be recognized with a Green Ribbon Award, it's time to start planning now. We'll release the Year 3 application for 2013-14 this fall, and those will be due in December 2013. You may have noticed that several of the nominees have many common project types, including school gardens, recycling programs, rainwater harvesting, and the applicants that ultimately earned the nomination did demonstrate achievement in all 3 pillars. So if you think you might submit an application this year, or even if you won't, a great tool is EPA's Portfolio Manager, a place to start benchmarking your energy use now. And lastly, I have just our resources. Our department webpage is listed here, the USED Green Ribbon webpage, and contact information for Kathleen and myself is here, and you can find that also on our website. And next up, Ryan Yee will give you some updates on the PTN database. Any questions?
Good morning, everyone. I am Julius McIntyre, and this is Ryan Yee. We are both analysts with the Office of Public School Construction. We will be doing a tutorial. We have a new project tracking database which will be deployed this March. The Office of Public School Construction, in conjunction with the Division of State Architect, is preparing to launch a new and improved project tracking database. New construction eligibility, modernization eligibility, project tracking numbers, applicable historical information, and the DSA tracker will all be available to the public at one centralized location. Besides providing the central location for project information, the database also includes search abilities that have been enhanced so you can search using a PTN number, a DSA number, or an OPSC project number. This enhanced version of the PTN system has increased user security, so be aware that the next time you log into the project tracking database, you will be prompted to create a new, more secure password. PTN passwords must be at least 8 characters and contain at least 1 digit and 1 number. Creating or editing a PTN will remain a privilege only exclusive to the district personnel.
So we're going to actually do a live run through here of what the generator looks like. And as Julius mentioned, the security is going to be updated just for this, the district's benefit here. So we do plan on launching this version later on this month, hopefully. And once we do launch this version, the district's going to be required to change their password. So changing their password is pretty easy. They're just going to go to the PTN generator. There'll be a drop-down menu, and they'll click Login. In order to change their password, all they have to do is hit Change Their Password. Enter their username. The username is going to be their 5-digit district code, followed by their current password and their new password. Matching their new password and security questions. And we already have one here, so we don't want to mess anything up. But let's just say a year from now, I want to create or the district wants to create a PTN and they forgot their password. They're no longer going to have to contact the application review team requiring or requesting their passwords. All they're going to have to do is hit Forgot Your Password. And all they have to do is type in their username, their 5-digit district code, and then followed by the district rep email that we have on file. So it could be the superintendent, the main district rep, or the alternative. Once they enter the email address, they'll hit Next, and the password will then be emailed to all 3 representatives. And as Julius mentioned, the password is going to be at least 8 characters long. The new password has to be at least 8 characters long, containing 1 letter and at least 1 number. So once you want to log in, hopefully this works. So we've logged in here as a district. None of this information is going to be saved or anything like that. So as you can see from the original generator, it looks a lot different as far as the layout, the coloring, the drop-down functions and options. One thing we've included here is the district representatives. So in case the superintendent, for example, logs in, he or she can see the district representative, the alternative representatives, and all the email, making sure the contact information is correct. If they then want to manage the PTN, they would just scroll over to the PTN. A drop menu would then pop up, and they'll click that. They have the option to view as many as 10 and up to 50 PTNs on the page, whatever's more convenient and appealing to the eye. If they do want to edit a previously assigned PTN, they want to add an additional note for whatever reason, they could then click on the pencil icon, hit edit, or click on edit, and enter the note, any additional notes or make any additional changes that they want to do. Next, if they want to create a new PTN, they will just hit the plus icon. And everything really here is the same. The only difference is that we have a new requirement. If a district's creating a PTN for a new school and a new site, they can no longer just hit new school and then enter this information. We are making a requirement to enter the proposed school name. So if they do happen to not enter the school name, they should get an error message here saying, in red text, saying you have to enter the proposed school name. And then they can go ahead and do so. If the school name changes in the end, they can contact the project manager to go through the necessary steps to change that. And Julius will then be discussing the search function.
As I previously mentioned, you can now search by OPSC project number, project tracking number, or DSA number. Going to show you what it looks like when you select either of those three options. First example will be the OPSC project number. Directly takes us to a page. We have options to view the historical fund releases for this district, for this project, the budget summary, transaction detail, eligibility, and the DSA tracker, shown here. New construction eligibility. Taking us directly to the Division of State Architects DSA tracker, reflected here. Project tracking number, which is linked to this DSA number. And we can access the district-specific, site-specific, and district-wide eligibility information shown here. Original SAB approval date, the first time they established eligibility, and the most recent approval, a little bit different from the way that it's currently displayed. And basic information from the district's funding application, along with their project tracking information and their OPSC project manager, all reflected here with their contact information. Does anyone have any questions about the database? Yes. Password is case sensitive. The information that we're viewing now is available to the public. It's not confidential information. Only the project tracking information, the district must enter in their username and password. We anticipate that this system will be deployed sometime within this month. Thank you. Thank you.
Next up, Spain.
Morning, everyone. My name is Thane Gunther, and I'm a project manager for program services. And today I'll be discussing non-participation and priority funding process, specifically SAP Regulation Section 1859.90.2 and 90.3. Just to give a little background on this item, at the October 24th State Allocation Board meeting, the board discussed options to promote activity on the unfunded list, the lack of AB 55 loans. The board approved the motion to develop regulations for school districts with new construction and modernization projects to pass on participating in the priority and funding process one time, meaning either abstaining from submitting to participate in the priority round or not submitting the fund release authorization form SAB 5005 within 90 days of receiving a priority funding apportionment. The board also directed OPSC to compile a list of projects that had not participated to convert their unfunded approvals to an apportionment. And this next slide will show out of all the projects for new construction and modernization, there was 165 projects totaling $413 million in the last two filing rounds. Of those projects, 112 projects had not participated in the last three certification rounds. 68 of those projects had not participated in the last four certification periods, and 16 projects had not participated in any certification period. At the January 23rd State Allocation Board meeting, the board approved the proposed regulations. The regulations provide a method for rescinding new construction modernization applications that have not participated in priority funding request periods or have failed to meet the 90-day fund release more than once. This slide right here will go over the flow process for OPSC. The first occurrence and the second occurrence are pretty much the same. If the district does not submit a priority funding request during the certified request period or does not submit the 5005 during the 90-day deadline. The second occurrence is the same. The district does not submit party funding request during the request period or does not submit a authorized Form SAB 5005. Next, I'm going to go over rescissions. The board, per the regulations, a rescission would require no further board action. Projects that have submitted, projects that have not submitted a party funding request or a valid 5005 within the 90-day time limit. After the second occurrence, the project will be removed from the list of unfunded approvals, lack of AB 55 loans, and or the project, the party funding apportionment will be rescinded without further board action. A rescinded application will not be placed on the unfunded list, lack of AB 55 loans, or the applications received beyond authority, the acknowledged list. The bonding authority previously allocated for the project will be returned to the respective program. If it was a Prop 55 project, it'll go back to that plot, or if it was a Prop 47, it'll go back to that. The applicable new construction or modernization eligibility will be used for the project will be reinstated at the district's baseline for applications that are rescinded. If a district would like to have the rescinded application placed on the acknowledged list, they would need to submit a new application to the OPSC for placement on the acknowledged list. The board also specified that these new regulations would not apply to the following programs: Career Tech, charter schools, overcrowding relief grant, and critically overcrowded schools. At this time, the regulations have been submitted to the Office of Administrative Law as of last Friday, the 15th of March. After those regulations go into effect, after those regulations are approved by Office of Administrative Law, the regulations will be in effect. Just to go over, two different scenarios if they are accepted on an emergency basis. If they are accepted on an emergency basis, the regulations could be in effect for the May certification filing round. If not accepted on an emergency basis, the regulations could be in effect the November certification round. The contact information for myself is on there, as well as my supervisor, Janice Schaefer. And if anyone has any questions, please feel free to ask. Next presenting will be Nate Gargiulo.
Good morning. My name is Nate Gargiulo. I'm from the Office of Public School Construction. I'm on the Facility Hardship team, and I've got a brief overview of our program. I'm very excited to share with you. We have a new team. We have Tasha Brennan as the Facility Hardship Supervisor, who here is today. We have myself, Nate Gargiulo, and Hannah Konoff, all part of the Facility Hardship team. We're very excited to be able to work with districts, answer any questions, meet. We want to make this a great process. Just a really quick background about the Seismic Mitigation Program. What's really important to look here is that up to $199.5 million was originally approved by the voters. As of the March 20th, 2013 board, there's $175.4 million currently remaining. As we kind of get into the criteria here, the Seismic Mitigation Program projects must meet the following criteria. So key here is construction contract is signed after May 20th, 2006. Project funding is for the minimum work required by the Division of State Architect. And what's really key here is that DSA concurs with the report by a structural engineer that identifies structural deficiencies that pose an unacceptable risk of catastrophic collapse in the event of seismic activity. And as kind of we go further in here, what I really want to highlight here is the building eligibility. Building eligibility is determined by the state architect, which verifies the following. The building was originally designed for occupancy by students and staff. The building is an eligible Category 2 building type as defined in AB 300 Seismic Safety Inventory of California Public Schools. And ultimately, the building has the potential of collapse either due to ground shaking or due to faulting, liquefaction, or landslides. Site eligibility. What I really want to highlight here is looking at the difference between collapse potential due to ground shaking, which the district must provide a seismic report to substantiate the collapse potential, or if in fact it's by faulting, liquefaction, or landslide, where DSA is going to require a geological professional report that identifies the hazard and outlines the minimum mitigation work required. So there's a difference there, and it's important to kind of highlight that. Right here is an overview of the DSA process, and also the process the districts go through when submitting applications to OPSC. So you have the initial application to the state architect. So what you have here is the eligibility approval for applying for the Seismic Mitigation Program. So there's the phase 1 for building eligibility that I highlighted in a couple slides before. Then you have DSA has phase 2 or phase 3 review. So once the district has either phase 2 or phase 3 approval, the district may choose to submit an application for conceptual approval to the OPSC to see if they have an eligible project pursuant to the criteria in the Seismic Mitigation Program that OPSC governs. So there you have the phase 2, the DSA review of replacement projects. You have the phase 3, DSA review of rehabilitation projects. What I want to highlight here that's really important is districts can apply for conceptual or for full funding applications, and once the project has DSA final plan approval, the district may submit an application for funding to the OPSC. And you're going to notice there at the very bottom, what I want to highlight here is for phase 4 letter, DSA review of minimum work, required work for rehabilitation only. So this is just a nice new chart that we put together. We'll have it on our website as well for reference. And it really goes back to what are the type of requests that districts can submit to OPSC for review under the Seismic Mitigation Program. So you have the conceptual application, which is determining if the project is in fact eligible for funding through the Seismic Mitigation Program, or you have the funding application, so the district applies for a program eligibility determined simultaneously with its application for funding. So there's two different options that the district have for requesting. Again, we have another chart here, and we're really just trying to kind of streamline things, make it really clear. The district's process of working with the state architect and submitting to OPSC. Again, kind of showing the process of conceptual approval, funding application being submitted. If you're a district and you're applying for conceptual application, what we want to make this is an easy process. So the recommended documents are the facility hardship request, the checklist that's found on our OPSC website, the photos of affected areas, the required documents. What we're looking for here is the structural engineer's report, the DSA concurrence letter or letters that states that the building or buildings meets the Seismic Mitigation Program qualifying criteria, so the phase 1 approval letter that we highlighted before, and it concurs with the industry specialist report on the minimum work to receive the state architect phase 2 or phase 3 approval letter. We're going to go a little bit more, required documents, and again, this presentation is going to be on our website for your reference. All of this is being, we've got a nice video to watch this as well for your reference if you miss anything. Geological report with concurrence letter if applicable. The detailed cost estimate of minimum work required. Really important here is cost-benefit analysis of rehabilitation versus replacement, and a site diagram of the affected school site. Very important to highlight this. When you're submitting a conceptual approval does not constitute a reservation of funds or bond authority or place on any unfunded list. What's also important to notice here is that if you submit a conceptual approval, the district has 18 months to submit an approved application for funding application, or 24 months to submit an approved application for funding if the project includes site acquisition. So I want to again highlight the two differences there. If you're submitting a funding application, there are required documents and they differ a little bit in comparison with the conceptual, so I just want to highlight those. You're going to have your application for funding, the Form SB 5004. You're going to have your DSA final plan approval letter, the phase 4 approval letter, but again, I want to highlight that only for rehabilitation projects only. You're going to have the DSA approved plans and the CDE final plan approval letter. Again, we're looking for as well the career technical education letter, the site development worksheet if applicable, and as we touched on a little bit before, if site acquisition is included, we need to see the CDE final site approval letter and the required real estate documents that go along with that site acquisition. Funding approval. So we want to just really highlight this here. If there is sufficient seismic mitigation program bond authority, then an SAB approved application will reserve bond authority in a place on the unfunded list, the lack of AB 55 loans. So if we do have sufficient bond authority and SAB approved applications, that's a full funding application. So we want to make sure we're just really clear on that. Eligible project costs. There's really a lot that goes into this program, the seismic mitigation program. So I want to make sure that we share this with you, is that the only project costs considered in reviewing, calculating, and ultimately approving an application are the minimum work to mitigate the unacceptable risk of injury. And this work is required by the state architect to receive state architect approval on the project. Talked about this a little bit. It's important. It's a required document that we're looking for. Cost-benefit analysis. So what this does is it compares the costs to mitigate the deficiencies and remain in the facility with the current replacement cost. So what we're looking for is eligibility for either rehabilitation or replacement funding. Rehabilitation is the minimum cost to mitigate is in fact less than 50% of the current replacement cost, or replacement, the minimum cost to mitigate is greater than 50% of the current replacement cost. So we need to see that document submitted to us in an application for our team to be able to review. Application review, OPSC review by the facility hardship analyst and project manager. I kind of highlighted we've got a new team here, and kind of what is our role? What do? We submit time-sensitive letters that seek documentation to make the application fully complete. We also, if an application is incomplete, we do send documents or projects back. What we do is, with bonding authority still available, is we process applications based on data order received to the next available state allocation board. So again, we have a new team here, a new supervisor. We really want to work with districts, good communication, and be able to expedite our reviews. Okay, seismic mitigation projects, okay, how are they added to the unfunded list that I talked about, the AB 55 loans? They're added in order of unfunded SAB approval date, then the complete application receive date. So again, this is important to highlight this. How are they put onto this list? Very important. And again, I want to highlight here, there's a difference between the full funding applications and the conceptual applications that come in. We've got a couple frequently asked questions that I kind of wanted to pose here at the very end and answer. The first one here is that our seismic mitigation program projects 100% state funded. And the statute requires a local match of 50% of total eligible project costs for all seismic mitigation projects. However, financial hardship projects can be funded up to 100%. So I just want to show the difference there. Can the district demolish the building prior to seismic mitigation program approval? Okay, let's talk about this a little bit. If demolition takes place before the district compiles all the documents required for submittal, it may delay application processing or result in a possible denial of the project. Yet, if you have to do expedited demolition, the district may proceed. However, there's in fact no guarantee of funding, and the district moves forward at its own risk. So we want to make sure we're really clear on that in regards to that issue. When should the district contact OPSC? Whenever you in fact have questions or you're looking to submit a project, you're going through the process with DSA with the different phases, you have any questions, please reach out to our team through phone, email. We can set up a one-on-one meeting. We'd be happy to meet with you at any time. We really want to make this a great process. A couple more questions here. If the district receives insurance proceeds or money from the sale of the site during the course of the seismic mitigation project, will the grant be affected? Pursuant to School Facility Program Regulations 1859.82, Any grants provided shall be reduced by 50% of any insurance proceeds collectible by the district for the displaced facilities and 50% of the net proceeds available from the disposition of any displaced facilities. So very clear to be familiar with that section of the regulations and stipulating with insurance proceeds. Does the seismic mitigation program provide an additional allowance for interim housing? Okay, I want to be very clear on this one. It does not provide additional funding for interim housing. However, interim housing costs are eligible expenditures for the seismic mitigation program projects. So I want to be just real clear there. Can the district submit an application to reimburse seismic work already completed? They can, but we have to have the required documents have to be submitted, and construction contracts were signed on or after May 20th, 2006. We have to have all the required documents. We need to make sure that we're looking at the construction contracts that's signed on or after May 20th, 2006. So those are some of the frequently asked questions that we received so far, and we just wanted to provide our answers. Obviously, all projects are unique and have different circumstances, and we want to be able to help and reach out to all the school districts available. All right. Are there any questions? Looks like there's not. Again, thank you so much for being here today, and that concludes our presentation. Thank you.